places that nobody has ever even reached out. There are people in places in your life that you don't even know exist that are ready and willing and able, but you've got to tap into more of your potential to be more perceptive to be able to see them.
We don't have a lot of people that are just role modeling opportunity for us. You know, and whenever I think about my own opportunity, it didn't necessarily come just looking for me. I found it by accessing the potential that I had, for looking for what God wanted for me, for paying attention whenever I was in specific moments of being at the Atlanta Gift Mart, and then thinking about this and being at another moment, and being at another moment. And some of you have heard me a couple years ago where I talked about connecting all those dots and paying attention about what that kind of opportunity creates and what does that opportunity door look like. And once you find more of yourself and you begin operating at a high percentage of your potential and looking for that opportunity, then you can be the person that all of us need you to be in the world, because we need you to be role models of opportunistic ladies and men.
That's right. Cindy said we all need you. Every single one of you. If you haven't heard me say this before, hear it, write it down. You were made with purpose, ladies. Guys, you're made with purpose. And others really, really need you to be fulfilling your purpose, because your purpose complements their purpose and helps them be that person that's operating at a higher percentage of their potential too. You know, last year's conference, we talked about how we're very, very different, Cindy and I. But we might have guessed. But I want to tell you something. One of the keys to the success in our marriage isn't that we've got it all figured out. The biggest key, though, is that we have figured out who each other is and where our strengths and weaknesses are and how those work together, not in opposition to each other. We're not the same. But you can take differences in opinion, and you can butt heads, or you can take differences in opinion and link them together and make a very strong, strong bond that actually gets things done in life.
I think to reach your potential, you have to have others who are reaching their potential. God puts people in our lives. We've talked about this business being this relationship thing. It's relations, not retelling. It's relationship.
You know, there's a Bible verse, and it's Proverbs 27:17. It says, just like iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. We really need each other to be the sharpest and the best we can be at everything.
And that's why our theme this fall is Better Together. We have already shared lots of things that are better together. Just like Scott and I are better together because we understand each other's potential. And we use our own potential to encourage the other one to do better things and to reach their potential.
So all of the people, though, in this equation of better together really, really need to be fully invested in it. It's not going to work. It's not going to work in your marriage if one of you is investing and the other one's not. It's not going to work in your family if you're investing and your kids aren't, or one kid's investing. You've got to all work together. There's a great book out by George W. Bush about his dad called 43. Has anybody read 43? Yeah. It is one of the best books I've read in the last few years because you get a really true picture of what the Bush family is really like and what particularly George H.W. Bush is like as a man and as a father and as a family man. And one of the things that the W says in this book, he said he asked his mom how in the world they made it through marriage so successfully all these years. And she said, you know what? It's because your father and I chose to meet each other 3/4 of the way there. And you got so many people, probably counselors. If you've been to marital counseling, somebody's probably told you, you got to meet in the middle, you got to meet in the middle. But what Barbara Bush would say is that's not it. You've got to go past the middle. You've got to give more of yourself than your half. You've got to give 3/4. And the other person has to do the same thing so that you can overlap. And when that middle gets fuzzy or gets rocky, you're holding on to each other. All of us have to be fully invested, which I believe isn't 100% of ourselves. It's 110, 150, 160% of ourselves. We've got to be there and meet further than the middle. Because the middle, sometimes that's where this happens.
But that requires you to be committed to one another. So if you're in a marriage, you have to be committed to one another that you are better together. There's a point where you have your child, you bring a child into this world, and you are committed to being better together with that child. While those are huge life examples, I have to tell you that I wouldn't be here today if I was not fully committed to every one of you. That we are better together. When you bring on that new person on your team, don't just recruit her. Commit to her. Be better together with her. Help her be successful. Help her reach her potential and commit to being better together. You'll have a day whenever you commit to all the people that you're going to share 31 with that you may not have shared or realized yet. You'll have a day when you realize that maybe you've not recruited anyone yet or shared the opportunity with anyone. You'll go off one day. You'll have that moment where you share and you'll see how rewarding it is to help someone else reach their potential. It's addicting. Just look around. It's addicting. Because women want to help others succeed. Women want to help impact others. So when are you going to choose to help others reach their full potential? Who will you choose to be better together with that you may not know today? Or if you already have a team, maybe you need to recommit yourself to them, to being better together with them. Whose credit card will you help pay off because you're committing to them? Whose mortgage or house will you help save because you decided today that you want to commit to be better together with someone else?
So kind of the big question for you in your mind maybe right now, how in the world am I going to maximize the potential I have in me for the other people? How are you going to reach your husband, your family, your potential recruits, your customers, the people in your life 3/4 of the way there? How are you going to reclaim yourself in a relationship without dropping the ball on all the to-dos? Now, I'm not the one to ask about getting stuff done, you may have guessed. But life has got a lot of to-dos, but you can't let the to-dos get in the way of being better together.
So I just want to encourage you because we have a lot of tools now that can help us as women with juggling everything that we have to juggle. Because life demands that we get things done. And we want to help impact others, like I just said. So we have to start thinking about not only how is 31 going to evolve, but how are we going to evolve? How are we going to help get everything done? Ladies, Scott and I believe that it is possible to have a healthy balance. I think that God gives us what we need to be able to reach that potential. I personally prioritize what I'm going to say yes to and what I'm going to cut out. And I know my goals. I know that my goals are family and my goals are 31. So for example, there have been times, we're in one of them right now, where I tell my family that we're going to be a little busy over the next 3 or 4 weeks. And they know every July we're going to be a little busy. And if mom calls and says she's not going to make dinner, they don't care. They may celebrate. I don't know. But
Ice cream for dinner!
probably. Unless he's on one of those clean eating things where nothing's in the house. Just keep it all balanced, not swing from here to there. Anyway, okay. But those are the seasons of where we take that month of July, and what's cool is they usually lead up to a really fun family time. I will stop, and I will turn everything off, and I will give them a full, 7 or 8 days. I don't turn on my computer a lot. I don't take phone calls. I may be scheduling the next vacation. So those are the only meetings we have to have because it's the only time I have to talk to them sometimes because we're all scattered doing our own things now that the kids are getting older. But I believe that there's some tools out there and services that can help you with balancing all those crazy times like we have with July. And I want to encourage you to make sure that you're taking out time for those face-to-face and those heart-to-heart moments to happen with your family. You know, maybe it's having a babysitter come over whenever you are busy, or having even a part-time nanny to help you with, the clothes and some of the kids. Maybe it's a new app, or maybe you're starting to get the whole family. We all use an online calendar to where I add everything that I'm doing, and if they know that I have dinner that night, or if they know where I need to be to fly out to come to Denver, it's on their calendar too.
Yeah, those tools are really, really, really important, and they make our lives so much easier, and I hope you're using as many tools as you can. I will caution you before, we're going to talk about some other tools that we want to introduce you to, but before we get there, I do want to caution you. Do not let the tools become your tool for relationship. Your tools are for everything else. Honestly, they can make you better at relationship if they get some of your stuff done, but they're only going to make you better at what you do, not who you are. Do not let them replace the parts of you that are uniquely you, that your family needs, that your team needs, that your husband needs. You can't do that through an app. I hate to tell you, if no one's told you this, no one wants a relationship with your Facebook profile, your YouTube channel, or your Instagram account. Those are awesome tools, and they help us communicate with old friends and let people know where we are, because we don't have time for those face-to-face moments. But that is not, in a relationship, is the biggest lie on Facebook. Does anybody else wish there was an oh heck no thing in this class? But I want to encourage you, we really want you to find useful tools that can replace the parts of you that are just there to handle the necessary evils of life, that can help you streamline the parts of your life that keep you from doing what God made you to do, and that is focusing on others.
So I have a lot of tools that I use. I loved in Super Session, I don't know how many of you all went, but we talked about being efficient or effective. Now, speaking of those tools, I could just keep adding a bunch of tools to make me more and more and more efficient. But you want to make them effective. And that's what Scott was just talking about. You want them to help you be more effective in building relationships. So, thinking about how you're going to reach that next young woman who needs a mentor in her life, or how are you going to share that opportunity with a newlywed that's trying to help pay her bills, or that mom of a toddler buying diapers and dog food. It's just crazy so much. And yesterday morning, you'll remember that I asked you to pull out your journal on page 10 and write down your why. Now, I don't know how many of you noticed on the other page, there was 2 things that you're going to do to help you reach that why. Now, I'm not going to have you pull that journal out right now, but I just wanted to go back to it and make sure that whenever you go back to your room tonight, you really think about, after all the general sessions, the training, the recognition, everything that you have experienced, I want you to take the time to go back to page 11, okay? And write down what are those 2 things. So we have some tools. I'm going to scroll on to the next thought. We have a lot of tools that are going to help you reach your potential. Like I said, I have a lot of tools that I use with, living out my life. These tools can help you with your customers at your parties, or they can help you with all kinds of different things. They're a little bit on the technological side, so I know this will be challenging for some of you more than others. And I'm telling you, we are being asked to do more and more things as women, and I think that we have more and more tools. So I want to share a few of my tools with you today, if that's okay. One of them that's actually not in my city yet that I'm excited, I would love to have, is TaskRabbit.com. If you go buy the really cheap bookshelf from